Welcome to the Englishstorywell channel, your ultimate destination for captivating stories that enhance your English learning journey. Here, we believe that stories are not just a form of entertainment, but a powerful tool to improve your language skills. Let's go to started.
Sarah was a young girl who had just moved to a small village with her family. They had left the busy city behind, hoping to find peace and a fresh start in the countryside. Sarah was both excited and nervous. She missed her old friends, but she was also eager to explore her new surroundings. The village was surrounded by green fields, tall trees, and colorful flowers. It was very different from the noisy streets and tall buildings she was used to. The air smelled fresh, and the sound of birds singing made Sarah feel calm. Her new house was an old cottage with a large, overgrown garden. The house was charming, with its wooden beams and thatched roof, but it was the garden that really caught Sarah's attention. It was wild and untamed, with vines climbing the walls and flowers blooming everywhere. It looked like it had been forgotten for years. Sarah's mother, noticing her interest, smiled and said, "This garden used to be beautiful a long time ago. Maybe we can bring it back to life together." Sarah nodded eagerly. She loved the idea of having her own secret garden where she could play, read, and daydream. The mysterious key. A few days later, while exploring the garden, Sarah noticed something shiny hidden among the tall grass near an old oak tree. She bent down and discovered an old, rusty key. It was big, with an intricate design, and it looked like it had been there for a very long time. What could this key open? Sarah wondered aloud. She looked around the garden but didn't see anything that needed a key. Curious, she decided to keep the key with her. Maybe one day she would find the lock it belonged to. As the days passed, Sarah became more and more curious about the key. She couldn't stop thinking about it. She imagined all sorts of exciting possibilities, a hidden door, a secret room, or even a treasure chest. She was determined to find out what the key opened. The discovery. One sunny afternoon, Sarah was in the garden again, searching for clues. She walked around the entire garden, carefully examining every corner. Just as she was about to give up, she noticed something unusual at the back of the garden, behind a thick wall of bushes. There was a small wooden door, almost completely hidden by the overgrown plants. Sarah's heart raced with excitement. Could this be what the key was for? She quickly pushed the bushes aside and tried the key in the door's lock. To her delight, the key fit perfectly. She turned it slowly, and the lock clicked open. Sarah took a deep breath and pushed the door. It creaked as it opened, revealing a narrow, overgrown path leading to another part of the garden that she had never seen before. The secret garden. Sarah stepped through the door and found herself in a beautiful, hidden garden. It was even more magical than she had imagined. The garden was full of colorful flowers, tall trees, and soft green grass. There were butterflies fluttering around, and a small stream ran through the middle, sparkling in the sunlight. In the center of the garden was an old stone bench, surrounded by roses. It looked like a perfect place to sit and read or just enjoy the peaceful surroundings. Sarah couldn't believe her eyes. This garden was like something out of a fairy tale. She spent hours exploring the secret garden, discovering new flowers and plants at every turn. She even found a small, hidden pond with lily pads and frogs. The garden felt like a world of its own, far away from everything else. Sarah knew she had found something special, a place that no one else knew about. It was her secret garden, and she promised herself she would take care of it and keep it beautiful. A new friend. One day, while Sarah was tending to the flowers in her secret garden, she heard a rustling noise in the bushes. She stopped what she was doing and listened carefully. The noise came again, and this time she saw something moving in the bushes. Sarah cautiously approached the bush and gently pushed the branches aside. To her surprise, she found a small, frightened rabbit. Its fur was soft and white, and its big brown eyes looked up at her with fear. "Don't be scared," Sarah said softly. "I won't hurt you." She reached out her hand, and after a moment, the rabbit seemed to understand that Sarah meant no harm. It slowly hopped closer to her, sniffing her hand. Sarah smiled and gently petted the rabbit. "I think I'll call you Snowy," she said, noticing how the rabbit's fur was as white as snow. From that day on, Snowy became a regular visitor to the secret garden. Sarah would bring him fresh vegetables from her kitchen, and they would spend hours together in the peaceful garden. Snowy was the first friend Sarah made in the village, and she cherished their time together, sharing the secret. As much as Sarah loved her secret garden, she began to feel a little lonely. She wished she could share the beauty of the garden with someone else. But she was also afraid that if she told anyone, the garden might lose its magic. One afternoon, Sarah was in the garden, thinking about this, when she heard a voice calling her name. It was her neighbor, Emily, a girl about her age who lived in the house next door. "Sarah, where are you?" Emily called. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then decided to take a chance. She walked back to the small door and called out, "Emily, over here." Emily came running and stopped in her tracks when she saw the door. "What's this?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Sarah smiled and said, "Come and see." Emily followed Sarah through the door and gasped when she saw the secret garden. "Wow, this is amazing. How did you find this place?" she asked. Sarah explained how she had found the key and discovered the hidden door. Emily was amazed and excited. She promised to keep the garden a secret and to help Sarah take care of it. From that day on, Sarah and Emily spent every afternoon in the secret garden, playing, reading, and exploring together. They planted new flowers, trimmed the overgrown bushes, and even built a small treehouse in one of the tall trees. The garden became even more beautiful with their care and attention. One day, as Sarah and Emily were playing in the garden, they heard a strange noise coming from the other side of the bushes. It sounded like someone crying. They looked at each other, concerned, and decided to investigate. They followed the sound and soon found a young boy sitting on the ground, tears streaming down his face. He looked about their age, with messy brown hair and a sad expression. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked gently. The boy looked up and wiped his tears. "I'm lost," he said. "I was playing in the woods, and now I don't know how to get home." Sarah and Emily felt sorry for the boy. They introduced themselves and asked him where he lived. It turned out he lived in a cottage on the other side of the village, not too far from where they were. "Don't worry," Emily said. "We'll help you get home." But before they left, Sarah had an idea. "Would you like to see our secret garden first?" she asked. The boy hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Okay," he said. Sarah and Emily led the boy through the small door and into the secret garden. His eyes widened in amazement as he looked around at the flowers, trees, and stream. "This is incredible," he exclaimed, a big smile spreading across his face. The girls showed him around the garden, and soon, the boy's sadness was forgotten. He laughed and played with them, enjoying the beauty and peace of the garden. When it was time to go, Sarah and Emily walked the boy back to his cottage. He thanked them for their kindness and promised to keep the secret of the garden. His name was Jack, and he became their new friend and a regular visitor to the secret garden. A special place. As time went on, the secret garden became a special place for Sarah, Emily, and Jack. They spent every free moment there, enjoying the beauty of nature and each other's company. The garden was filled with laughter, joy, and the sound of children playing. One day, as they were all sitting by the stream, Sarah said, "I'm so glad we found this garden. It's like our own little world, where we can be happy and free." Emily nodded. "It's the best place in the whole village." Jack smiled and added, And the best part is that we found each other." The three friends looked at each other and smiled. They knew that their friendship was something special, just like the garden. They had created a place where they could escape from the worries of the world and simply enjoy being together. The garden's secret. As the seasons changed, the secret garden continued to bloom with new flowers and plants. The friends discovered something new every day, whether it was a new type of flower, a bird's nest hidden in the branches, or the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves. One day, while exploring a part of the garden they hadn't visited in a while, Sarah found something unusual. It was a small, wooden box, half buried in the ground near the base of an old tree. "What do you think is inside?" Emily asked, her eyes shining with curiosity. "Only one way to find out," Jack said, as he carefully dug the box out and opened it. Inside the box, they found old letters and a faded photograph of a young girl sitting on the same stone bench in the garden. The letters were addressed to Lily and were filled with stories about the garden, how it was once a beautiful place where children would play, just like them. Sarah, Emily, and Jack realized that the garden had been a special place for others long before they found it. They felt a connection to the girl in the photograph and wondered what had happened to her. The reunion. Curious about the girl in the photograph, Sarah decided to ask her mother if she knew anything about the garden's past. To her surprise, her mother's eyes lit up when she saw the photograph. "That's Lily. She was my best friend when I was your age," her mother said. "We used to play in this garden every day, just like you do now. I haven't seen her in years." Sarah's heart raced with excitement. "Do you know where she is now?" she asked. Her mother thought for a moment and then said, "I believe she moved to a nearby town, but we lost touch over the years."